A couple of weeks ago, one of my friends sent me an article that had been published on the website for one of the local news stations here. And it was talking all about how women are struggling to get started with strength training. And she thought that I might find it interesting. And I did, but probably not for the reasons that she thought. What really struck me was that in this day and age, women are still grappling with whether or not they should be strength training. And what this article reported was that even when women did know that that was something that they should be doing for their overall health, they still felt really intimidated in a gym environment. And even if they could get themselves to the gym, they weren't really sure what to do when they got there. And sometimes they felt so overwhelmed by insecurity that they were unable to do anything but hit the cardio machines. And so that inspired me to talk about this. I ended up posting on Instagram last week. I did a bit of a poll for my community and asked them what they thought, because I really was shocked and dismayed to see that this is something that we're still talking about in this day and age. And sure enough, I got lots of really heartfelt comments and feedback from women that follow me that said that they do still feel really intimidated in going to the gym and that they're not really sure what it is that they're supposed to be doing, even though they know that they should be doing something. And that really struck me as a health and fitness professional, because obviously my goal is to help women look and feel their best in midlife and beyond. That's the population that I work with most of the time. So I didn't think I could fit it all into one video, so I'm doing a two-part series, and we're going to start off this week by talking about why strength training is so important, especially in midlife. And then next week, I'm going to be diving into more of that emotional and mindset side of it, how to get over that feeling of being intimidated when you do go to the gym. I get it. I was there once myself, so I completely understand. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. And then I will also help give you some real solid action plan to get started on a strength training program if that is something that you want to do. Today, we're going to talk about why strength training is going to benefit you, especially after 40, and why it is truly one of the most important things that you can do for your health in midlife and beyond as a woman. Number one, a lot of you are watching this video and following me because you are working on some kind of fat loss goal or physical transformation. And so we're going to start there. If you are trying to lose weight, change the shape of your body, get that fit, toned look that everyone talks about, you are going to need to build muscle. And after the age of roughly sort of 35, your muscle mass is going to start to decline. One of the reasons women get confused because they start gaining weight in perimenopause and menopause is because that correlates around that same 10-year window with this natural decline in muscle mass. So if you look at it, by the time you hit your mid 40s, if you have done nothing to offset that decline, you could have lost a substantial amount of your muscle mass. And if you are eating the same and then doing some of the other things that contribute to weight gain in midlife, like not moving your body very much, sitting a lot, drinking more alcohol, socializing where you're in situations that revolve largely around food at this time in life, at least I know mine do. All of those things can combine that make women think that they are gaining weight because they're in perimenopause and menopause and that it has to do with their hormones, but it's not. It has to do with age-related muscle decline, and it has to do with usually overeating, drinking too much alcohol, and some other lifestyle choices, again, all of which can be controlled. And I like to point that out because I am a firm believer that when you feel like you are not in control of something that is happening to you, it is a very, very unmotivating feeling. But when you know that you can control the outcome or you can change the outcome of what's happening, it is a much more empowering place to be. So I try to really stress that and point that out when I can, because I think it's really important to know what you actually have control over it, because it is a lot more than most women think in midlife. So having said that, we can control strength training, we can control going to the gym and what we do there. And if you're somebody that goes to the gym and you're thinking, well, I'm fit and I prioritize my fitness, but you go to the gym and you head straight for the Stairmaster or the elliptical, it's time to switch it up. So nothing wrong with cardio. It absolutely should be part of your overall fitness plan. But in my experience, most women in midlife, I do not find are short on cardio. A lot of us walk regularly. That's something that is even part of our social life. Going hiking, playing pickleball, playing golf, playing tennis. Some women are still involved in league sports and they play soccer or volleyball. And so typically, cardio isn't the problem if you are, in fact, already prioritizing fitness on some level. If you are not, and you're not doing anything right now in terms of your fitness, well, then you've got a wealth of choice. And I'm going to tell you to choose strength training first, and then you can layer in your cardio on top of that. As I mentioned, that change in muscle decline, we want to offset that because the more lean mass you have, and muscle is considered part of your lean mass, the more energy your body uses just going through the regular activities of daily living. One of the expressions you've probably heard, you'll burn more calories at rest, the more muscle you have. And so what that does is it improves your metabolism. So even though that muscle decline is happening as a result of aging, you can offset that by building more muscle. And that is why when you have a lot of muscle, you can eat a lot more food. I have people message me sometimes on social media and say, my gosh, you ate that whole plate of food. I'm like, yep. And the reason that I can eat a lot is because I burn a lot. And so the more muscle mass you have, the more you can eat, and the less you are going to struggle with fat gain as you continue to get older. And if you are working on a fat loss goal as part of this and you're watching this, if you are in a caloric deficit, but you are working on building muscle at the same time, you are going to need to be in less of a deficit in order to get the fat loss result that you're looking for. So there's number one on the aesthetic side. Number two on the aesthetic side is that you are going to get that toned look that everyone's talking about. Toned is just, I don't know who came up with that, gosh, 100 years ago, but somebody came up with that because a lot of women were put off by the term muscle, right? When we think of building muscle, you hear women say, oh, I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to look like a man. Yeah, well, you're not going to. So toned, muscular, whatever you want to call it. When you have muscle definition, and what most women like is they want that shoulder cap. They want to have nice arms. They don't want them all jiggly. You want to have nice looking quads so you look good in shorts. Maybe you want to look good in your clothes. That's what most women want, right? Building muscle is what is going to do that for you, not this spot reduce, do these stupid little, arm exercises for a minute a day and you're going to have these nice sculpted toned shoulders. No, you need to be building muscle and you need to be lifting heavy, and that is what is going to create that. And if you're thinking, well, I don't want to get really big, trust me, any woman that you see that has any kind of mass or masculine looking muscle on her body is probably taking a PED steroid, and is probably working out to look like that for multiple hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. So for the average woman who's hitting the gym for sort of 35 to 45 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, you've got nothing to worry about. So if that is anything, somehow, if that's lodged up here, that lifting weights is going to make you look like a big, bulky male bodybuilder, I promise you it's not. So if you want that nice muscle definition, that is the number two reason in order to be lifting weights for aesthetics. And really, the two go hand in hand. That's why we focus on both of them inside the Fit Life formula, where I work with women on their transformation. And it's why I encourage women to stick with a strength training program long-term, because continuing to raise the bar, continuing to build muscle to work against offsetting that age-related decline is what is going to keep you looking great and to help you keep your results once you lose the amount of fat that you want to lose. So that's the look side. On the health side, on the longevity side, equally as important, although not necessarily something we can see quite as quickly. But muscle is the thing that is going to give you your freedom as you get older. And I feel like we're in the sort of middle generation right now where a lot of us, maybe not when we were younger, but in the last 10 to 20 years, women are starting to understand the benefits of being fit, being strong, lifting weights, staying active as part of their lifestyle. Whereas our mother's generation did not have that same influence. And I see it. I saw it with my own mom and how her mobility was so limited by the end of her life. I see it with my mother-in-law who has a walker and who has trouble really moving any significant distance anymore. And then I also have the benefit of having a few other older women in my life who did exercise and who were fit throughout their midlife years, and they are still doing all the things. I play tennis regularly with a woman who's 80. My mom's best friend was a big time swimmer, and she's still out doing everything that she wants to do, walking, swimming outdoors, all of that. I have another friend that started competitive running when she was in midlife. And she took up weights and she does them in her living room a couple of times a week. And she's in her late 70s and she looks fantastic. You can really see the difference if you take a look at the older women in your circle and see who's still really thriving and who isn't. It would be interesting just for your own knowledge to see if there is a correlation there between what they were doing in terms of fitness and exercise when they were younger and how they fared now that they are in their senior years. Functional strength, being able to do things like lift heavy stuff, not have to rely on your husband to carry things in from the car, being able to take all your groceries in one load, being able to pick up your grandkids, your dog. These basic things in life that are going to get harder as you get older. If your muscle declines, once you start strength training, you don't have to worry about that anymore because strength training is going to give you more muscle. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to improve your core strength. You're going to get injured less. It's going to improve your connective tissue like tendons and ligaments. So all of that is going to be strengthened. It's going to help with your posture to keep you upright. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So even if you are not somebody with an aesthetic goal, you're not trying to lose fat or affect some kind of body recomposition change, all of those things are equally as important because that's what's going to allow you to keep doing all of the things that you want to do, to travel, like I said, to play with your grandkids. I hope I'm still on the tennis court when I'm in my 80s. Gosh, that's so inspiring to me. And so lifting weights and building strength and building muscle are all going to help in that regard. In addition to improving your bone density, anything that is weight bearing is going to help improve your bone density. And that is what is going to prevent you from having catastrophic injury as you get older, breaking a hip. I mean, I saw that happen with my mother-in-law as well. And like, she was never the same after that. Now, paying it forward to your old lady self, as I like to say, then you are going to ensure that you maintain your freedom, the freedom that you enjoy now. Maybe you're not even thinking about what's going to be happening in your life when you're in your late 70s and your 80s, but I sure do because I've witnessed it with that older generation, and we have the benefit of the knowledge. We have the benefit of the science. We know now what a difference that could make. So let's take advantage of that. Just from strength training, I'm going to say 3 to 4 times a week. I feel like that's the sweet spot, especially if you are looking for an aesthetic result. Then 3 to 4 times a week is going to produce that, especially if you're new to lifting. Like most of my clients come to work with me because they have a fat loss goal, but they also want to work on their health and fitness. And so the change, that body recomposition that can happen in that first 6-month period as your body is adapting to lifting weights, it can be dramatic, both in how you look and how you feel. And it's pretty exciting. And then as you continue to go, yeah, you have to work harder and you have to do a little bit more. But really, it's not the more, it's the consistent. So instead of falling into that trap of hitting the gym 5 days a week when you set a new goal and then a month later falling off that and not doing anything for another 3 or 4 months, find a way to build that consistently into your life and to start making that strength training a priority. And because I work with a lot of professional women who are pressed for time, I know that time is a huge barrier to either starting a fitness program or towards being consistent with it. And one of the things that I see happen is the reason they can't stay consistent with it is because they set the bar too high. They are trying to get to the gym for an hour a day, 6 days a week, and their schedule just can't permit that. It just can't tolerate that. There's not enough time. And so setting a realistic amount, even if you can only manage 2 days a week at the beginning, then do the 2 days and make sure that it's structured. I did a video a couple of weeks ago talking about the difference between activity versus adaptation, which is muscle strength and something we call progressive overload that you need in order to continue to build muscle. So you can go back and check that out if you want to dig a little bit deeper into that side of things. But making sure that then that twice a week, you have a plan. You're not just going to the gym and randomly doing whatever, or like so many women do, they can get themselves to the gym, but then they think, well, I don't know what to do now that I'm here, or that intimidation factor sets in and they head straight to the cardio machines. We don't want to do that. If you've only got time for 2 or 3 workouts a week, I want you to be doing strength training and I want you to be focused and have a proper plan so that you will progress, that you will continue to challenge yourself, that you will actually be able to start growing and building muscle and reaping the benefits of everything that I have talked about here today. So if that has convinced you and you are ready to start with a strength training program, or if you already are working out on a regular basis, maybe ready to make that shift, but you don't really know how to get started, or you are feeling some intimidation, because believe me, I understand the gym can be a very intimidating place, then check back next week for part 2. I'm going to give you some strategies for how to actually start weight training, some different things that you can do both in the gym, some different paths that you can take to get started on a strength training program, and mostly how to shift that mindset about the gym being somewhere that you feel uncomfortable or intimidated, and changing that into a place that feels empowering for you. Honestly, it's been 20 years for me, and it changed my life. When I look back on what really turned the tide for me, it was getting in the gym. And it was learning to lift properly, and knowing how different I feel, how much better I function, the confidence that I have now in my life because I feel strong and capable. And once you make that shift, I see it happen with so many of my clients as well. There's really nothing like it, but it is one of those things that unfortunately you don't know until you know. So you're going to have to take my word for it. But we're going to dive into all of that more next week. So hopefully you'll come back for part 2.